Here are the top stories for today, December 2nd, 2020. The Department of Health eyes allowing face-to-face classes in COVID-19 free and minimum risk areas. Malacanang tells telecom companies to improve their services by December or risk closure. The AFP maintains it treated the remains of slain rebel Jevilyn with respect after she was abandoned by the NPA. And a 100-year-old woman in Tacurong City receives a cash gift from the local government and DSWD. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Face-to-face classes may be considered in areas where there is a low number of COVID-19 cases or with minimal risk. This is according to Health Secretary Francisco Duque III, who cited the need to reassess areas that has no COVID-19 cases for the past 2 to 4 weeks. Duque is responding to the call of some senators who want to resume limited and localized face-to-face classes in low-risk areas in the country. However, Education Secretary Leonor Briones insists there will be no face-to-face classes this year and that the resumption of such would only be limited to areas which are absolutely safe based on the conditions set by the Department of Health or DOH. Minors accompanied by their parents are now allowed to enter the malls. The government reminds that restrictions are still tight despite the gradual reopening of the economy.
Ito naman po ay subject pa rin sa guidelines na bubuuin ng Metro Manila Council at ng mga iba't ibang lokal na pamahalaan. So pangangalagaan din natin na hindi magiging super spreaders nga ang mga bata, kaya nga po ang isang basic requirement, dapat kasama nila ang kanilang mga magulang. Pero talaga pong napakadami ng walang trabaho dahil dito sa pandemyang ito. Ang kinakailangan po natin habang hinahantay natin ang bakuna, we need to live with the virus at kaya po natin yan kung pangangalagaan natin ating mga buhay para tayo po ay makapaghanap buhay.
Meanwhile, NCRPO Chief Brigadier General Vicente Danao Jr. has ordered the increase of police visibility to ensure that proper health protocols are strictly enforced at the establishments. For Joint Task Force COVID Shield Commander Lieutenant General Cesar Binag, local government units would have to enact an ordinance before allowing minors at the mall. And for Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez, the activities of the kids should only be limited to buying their necessities and eating in the restaurants. In Davao, parishes are permitted to schedule more simbang gabi masses for the holiday season. This came as the seating capacity of churches in the city is only limited to 10% under the General Community Quarantine or GCQ. Davao Archbishop Romulo Valle said respective bishops should first consult with the pastors of the parishes and coordinate with the local government unit about the schedule of masses. He also recommended that simbang gabi masses can start at 6 p.m. while the last aguinaldo masses can be at 6 a.m. The 9-day simbang gabi is traditionally held before dawn from December 16 to 24. Davao City is placed under GCQ until the end of the month. Telco companies are reminded of their deadline to improve their services or get shut down. President Rodrigo Duterte earlier gave them until December this year to boost their connectivity. But for presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, there was no improvement yet as of this time.
Pero sa aking eksperyensya po, ang aking cellphone, imposible pa rin. Hindi po talaga makakontak sa cellphone. No? Kinonfirma ko na ang karanasan natin ay talagang ganyan din ang nararamdaman ng buong bayan at si Presidente rin. Siguro napapansin niya, wala pa rin improvement. So, hinihimo ko po ang ating mga telcos, ano naman po ang isusukli nyo matapos kayo pagbigyan ng Presidente dun sa hinihiling ninyo na mas mapabilis yung pag-approval ng mga telecom towers. Tingin ko naman, siguro na dahil nakuha na nila yung mga approval, it's a matter of installing the telecom towers.
Meanwhile, Interior Secretary Eduardo Año said more than 2,000 permits and clearances to build cell towers have already been approved by local government units. Año said the LGUs have complied with the order of Duterte to fast-track the approval process. More than 300 cases have been filed against local government officials over alleged anomalies in the distribution of the Social Amelioration Program or SAP. According to Interior Secretary Eduardo Año, these SAP-related criminal complaints involve almost 800 complainants and 1,278 suspects. The cases filed are in violation of Republic Act 3019 of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, RA 6713, or Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards, and the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. Cases of robbery, extortions, and grave threats have also been filed against some of the officials.
Ito po yung mga inimbestigahan natin sa mga SAP anomalies. Meron po tayong 367 na naimbestigahan. Ang 270 ay na-file sa prosecutor. Ang 30 ay nasa court na po. At ang 27 ay na-refile sa ombudsman. Sa administrative cases naman po, involving barangay chairman, ang 184 po ay na-refer natin na sa prosecutors or sa fiscal. Ang 57 po ay nasa korte na. At 66 ang na-refile sa ombudsman at meron tayong kasalukuyang under suspension na 89 barangay chairman.
Still to come, the AFP maintains it treated the remains of slain rebel Jevilyn with respect after she was abandoned by the NPA. Anti-communist groups call on the lawmakers of the Makabayan bloc to step down. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Alamin kung paano ang tamang pagsusuot ng surgical mask. Una, hawakan ang mask sa strap at siguruhing natatakpan nito ang inyong bibig at ilong. Tandaan, ang may kulay na bahagi ng mask ang dapat nasa labas. Ito lamang ang tamang paraan ng pagsuot nito. Ihulma ang nose piece o maliit na metallic strip ayon sa hugis ng inyong ilong. Iwasan ang paghawak sa inyong ilong at bibig. Kung marumi na ang mask, hubarin ito gamit ang strap at itapon ito sa isang basurahan. Siguruhin ang maayos na paghuhugas ng kamay gamit ang sabon at tubig. Ang surgical mask ay dapat gamitin ng mga pasyenteng may sakit sa baga o mga taong mayroong ubo, sipon at lagnat, mga nag-aalaga sa mga may sakit, at mga healthcare at frontline workers. Maaari ring magsuot nito kung kayo ay pupunta sa matataong lugar. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP, at nang himpilang ito.
Government troops belied claims that the military desecrated the remains of Jevilyn, who was killed in an encounter in Surigao del Sur. The AFP appeared before the Senate to shed light on the issue. The details from Marita Mawahe.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines maintains it did not desecrate the remains of Jevilyn nor use the cadaver as a trophy. Jevilyn is the daughter of Bayan Muna Party List Representative Euphemia Culyamat. She was instantly killed during the encounter between the military and the NPA rebels in Sitio Mabog in Marihatag, Surigao del Sur on Saturday. During the resumption of the Senate hearing over the issue of red tagging, AFP Deputy Chief of Staff Rear Admiral Eric Kagawan explained that since the body of Jevilyn was abandoned by her comrades, the troops had to carry her for almost half a day to bring her remains to her family. Kagawan also assured that the troops treated her body with respect and dignity. Troops seized a major terrorist base with 2 kitchens, 22 tents, and a strong cellular signal during the encounter. National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon Jr. said the site has long been part of several anniversary celebrations of the communist terrorist groups. For his part, Southern Luzon Command Chief Lieutenant General Antonio Parlade Jr. said that the Makabayan bloc is just using the desecration claim as propaganda piece to discredit the military. Parlade questioned the claim as Jerilyn Culyamat, the elder brother of Jevilyn, expressed his thanks to the AFP troops for respecting and taking care of Jevilyn's remains. Parlade said if the Makabayan bloc is really looking for incidents of desecration involving remains of fallen NPA combatants, Militant lawmakers should try investigating the NPAs as communist terrorists have a record of just leaving the dead bodies of their slain members on the field. He also urged the CPP-NPA and its allies to explain the desecration and rape of women cadres among their ranks and the minors they forced to join their ranks. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Marita Muaje.
The Department of Justice is finalizing rules on the identification of persons who are members of terrorist organizations. This is mandated by Republic Act 11479 or the Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020. According to Justice Undersecretary Adrian Ferdinand Sugay, they are already in the process of crafting the rules and they are hoping to submit the rules for the Anti-Terrorism Council or ATC within the month. Under Section 25 of the law, the ATC may designate individuals or groups as terrorists upon finding of probable cause that they are in a conspiracy to commit or are committing acts of terrorism. After the publication of names of designated terrorists, their assets may be subject to a freeze order by the Anti-Money Laundering Council. It also allows the police or the military to conduct a 60-day surveillance with an allowable 30-day extension on suspected terrorists. The law also imposes a 12-year jail term on a person who voluntarily or knowingly joins a terrorist organization. Malacanang dared the Makabayan Bloc and other leftist groups to admit that they are legal fronts of the Communist Party of the Philippines. It also urged the New People's Army to renounce the armed struggle. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque made this remark after President Rodrigo Duterte on Monday night identified the Makabayan Bloc, Bayan, Gabriela, and other groups as legal groups of the CPP. The president alleged that they are part of a grand conspiracy to overthrow the government and that Bayan Muna Representative Carlos Zarate had links to the communist movement.
The fact is, kung ikaw ay member ng CPP, pwede ka maging legal but you have to renounce the use of arms. Pero habang hindi nila ni-renounce at habang sila po ay nakikibahagi pa dito sa paggamit ng dahas at sandata laban sa Republika, kriminal po yan. Si Congressman Zarate cannot deny that. Matagal na sila magkakakilala. At saka ang presidente mismo admitted more than once na he was part of the legal front. Yung precursor ng karapatan, he was head of that group in Davao. So alam niya yung link between these legal fronts, kaya nga legal po, para kunwari hindi sila kasapi dun sa CPP-NPA. Ang problema,
Anti-communist groups and other civil society organizations called on the Makabayan Bloc lawmakers to resign for allegedly recruiting minors to join the CPP-NPA-NDF. All the details from Lade Cabagani.
Members of the League of Parents of the Philippines, Liga Independencia Pilipinas, Hands Off Our Children's and Yakap ng mga magulang along with former NPA members and parents of student activists who were reportedly recruited by progressive youth organizations gathered at the Senate grounds to condemn the Makabayan Black representatives for continuously denying their ties with the communist groups. During the rally, the groups criticized the Makabayan Black for not denouncing the atrocities and violence committed by the NPA members, saying the representatives seem to serve as the rebel spokespersons and propaganda mouthpiece. LPP Chair Ramir Sadie asked anew the youth organizations allegedly linked with the CPP-NPA to end the recruitment of minors to fulfill their senseless cause. The group said the vulnerability of the student activists is the primary target of the CPP-NPA recruitment. Relisa Lucena, mother of student activist Alicia Jasper, hit the Makabayan Black members for exploiting student activists outside their safe zones. Lucena, together with the parents of youths who were missing for years, condemned all the politicians supporting the illegal activities of the CPP-NPA-NDF. During the rally, the protesters burned a tarpaulin bearing the image of CPP founding chairman Jose Maria Joma Sison. The groups also presented a live mural painting that depicts the struggle of parents against the continuous brainwashing and exploitation of the youth by the CPP-NPA-NDF. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Lade Cabagani.
Up next, the Labor Department issues guidelines for cash aid beneficiaries under Bayanihan 2. And a 100-year-old woman in Tacurong City receives a cash gift from the local government and DSWD. More on these when the PNA Newsroom returns.
Alamin ang tamang paraan ng pag-ubo upang mapigilan ang paglaganap ng Coronavirus Disease 2019. Ugaliing magdala ng panyo o tissue. Kung uubo o babahing, takpan ang buong ilong at bibig gamit ang panyo o tissue. Kung walang dalang panyo o tissue, maaaring gamitin ang braso na pantakip. Kung nakararamdam na kailangan umubo o bumahing, agad na dumistansya sa mga tao sa paligid. Huwag dumura kung saan-saan, gumamit ng tissue at itapon sa basurahan. Ugaliin ang paghuhugas ng kamay at paggamit ng alcohol o hand sanitizer upang mamatay ang mikrobyo. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
After getting fresh funding, the Department of Labor and Employment said Filipino workers abroad or in the country would benefit from the Abot Kamay or Pagtulong or AKAP program under the Bayanihan to Recover as One Act or Bayanihan 2. Displaced land-based and sea-based OFWs affected by the COVID-19 pandemic are covered by the program. Qualified applicants will receive a one-time financial assistance of $200 or 10,000 pesos or its equivalent to the local currency of the host country. To be eligible for the program, the OFW must have experienced job displacement on site, repatriated due to COVID-19, or balik manggagawa re-engaged seafarers whose droplet has been suspended due to COVID-19. They must not receive financial assistance from Dole AKAP under Bayanihan to Heal as One Act or any financial support from the host country or employer. The budget for the program is at 2 billion pesos with some 200,000 target beneficiaries. Local disaster councils in Albay were activated on Tuesday as it braces for possible flooding, lahar flows, and landslides due to a low-pressure area spotted east of Legazpi City. Albay Governor Al Francis Bichara issued a provincial disaster advisory directing all 15 towns and 3 city disaster councils to be on high alert as the LPA would trigger moderate to heavy rains. Albay Public Safety and Emergency Management Office Chief Cedric Daep said the cold front and the northeast monsoon will bring moderate to heavy rains once it breaks the rainfall threshold. Sailing is now prohibited due to the rough seas prevailing at the eastern flank of the province. Residents living in coastal villages in the eastern seaboard were warned of possible strong waves. Local disaster councils were asked to implement disaster mitigating measures and initiate preemptive evacuation once the weather condition worsens. The Department of Tourism, in partnership with the UP Philippine General Hospital, is looking at subsidizing about half of the RT-PCR test cost for tourists traveling domestically. Tourism Chief Bernadette Romulo Puyat said the agency is eyeing to ink an agreement with the UPPGH to cut by 50% the RT-PCR test cost, originally priced around 1,800 to 1,900 pesos per person. Romulo Puyat said the DOT wants the people to be able to travel, especially with the upcoming Christmas holiday. She acknowledged that the cost for COVID-19 tests are quite prohibitive, but noted that it is a requirement that cannot be taken out. Meanwhile, Bohol is planning to welcome travelers by the second week of December 2020. Romulo Puyat said Bohol is already open for meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions, but by the second week of this month. They will reopen also for independent travelers. Like many other tourist sites reopened under the new normal, Puyat said visitors would be required to submit a negative RT-PCR test result upon entry to the island. A woman who recently turned 100 years old received a total of 200,000 pesos in cash from the local government of Tacurong City and the Department of Social Welfare and Development. Tacurong Mayor Angelo Montilla personally handed over a 100,000 peso cash gift to Soledad Nono Liboon, who was born on November 28, 1920. Montilla said the cash gift from the city government was an incentive counterpart of the LGU to what the national government has given her through the DSWD. Liboon said she would use part of the money to buy her 58-year-old son, Rodrigo, a tricycle. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. The Department of Health eyes allowing face-to-face classes in COVID-19 free and minimum risk areas. Malacanang tells telecom companies to improve their services by December or risk closure. The AFP maintains it treated the remains of slain rebel Jevilyn with respect after she was abandoned by the NPA. And a 100-year-old woman in Tacurong City receives a cash gift from the local government and DSWD. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check more news content, check our webpage or head onto the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And it is 23 days to go before Christmas. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day, everyone.